I came across this cool Scifi fuel tank on the internet, and so I modeled it, and I've made you a reference, and I'm going to show you how you can model it too. Alright, so you can download the reference image from the link in the description if you want to follow along with me. And this is pretty straightforward, although it takes a little while to do it, but it's pretty good for Blender beginners or relative beginners. Alright, so bring in the reference, going Shift A, image reference, bring it in. I've moved it so that my 3D cursor is right down here, and I've moved the reference image back on the Y a little bit so it's not in the way. Press 1 and look from the front to do this. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do this bottom piece here, the stand or whatever that it's going to sit on. So I'm just zooming in, and hopefully you already know the controls for Blender. And I'm going to press Shift A, Mesh Plane. Go into edit mode by pressing Tab, and you can see my plane right there. I'm going to press S, and I'm going to pull it out until it hits the end. And we're not going to be exactly on the reference, we're just going to use it as a guide. So that's pretty good. I'm going to pull it down a little bit, and I'm going to press 7 to look from the top, and you can see it's kind of wide, so I'm going to press SY and just bring it in. It's hard to tell exactly how much right now, so we'll just do something like that. Alright, so we've got that. Okay, I'm going to press Z and go into wireframe. It's a little easier as we do this. And I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to pull up on this blue arrow in the Z direction. I'm going to come up to about there. I'm going to press E to extrude. I'm going to come up to this area and press S to scale. And I'm looking over here on the side, and it'll pull both sides in. It'll be roughly like that. Now let's look from the top and in solid view, and you can see that it didn't pull it in exactly equal, pulled it in more on the X than on the Y. So I'm going to press SY, scale in the Y, and just pull it in a little bit more so it looks more even. And we have this piece. Shift A to deselect. Press 3 for face selection and select that bottom face, and X faces to get rid of that. Let's turn on the cavity shader, and let's switch this to both and pull up all 3 of these ones. You can pull up this one as well a little bit, but I don't pull it up as much. And I'm going to switch over. I'll just go to there for now. Alright, 2 for edge selection. Press Shift and Alt and click there. If you just press Shift, you'll just get part of the edge. I want both of these parts. So Shift and Alt, you get the whole edge. Come on around, Shift and Alt on this one. Oops. This one, Shift and Alt on this one. And I just want to, we can look at the diagram in wireframe. We can try this. Okay, so I've got those selected. Go Control B, pull until it lines up, and see how well that works out for us. Go back to solid mode, and this is what we have. I'm going to deselect. Alright, I want to add a bevel to this, but just before I do that, I'm going to go back to object mode, come to my diagram, and I don't want it always blocking me, so I'm going to select it, come over here to the little picture there, object data properties, and here where it says side, I'm going to switch this to front. So we only see it in the front, we don't see it in the back, so we can see through it. Okay, back to our object. What I want to do is I want to bevel, so Shift and Alt and click the top, and Shift and Alt and click that one, so the edge goes all the way around. I'm just wondering if I should do something like that. It might be easier to see what I've got selected. With that done, I'm going to Control B, hold Shift and pull. Shift will make it move a little slower. I just want a small split like that, so it's still relatively sharp, and then roll my mouse up 1. So I've got 3 edges in there, and deselect. I'm going to do the same thing for all of these edges around it, and I'll just make it look a little nicer, a little more polished. So I've got all of those edges. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and Control B, pull with the same 3, and deselect. So we have this. We have our base. My 3D cursor is still right there in the middle of it. Alright, so we need to do the main cylinder here. Okay, now it doesn't really matter how many vertices you choose. This is not going to be low poly. It's going to come in somewhere over 100,000, maybe 125 or so. All right, you can do it low poly if you want, but I'm going to press Shift A, Mesh, Cylinder, and I'm going to go for something like 24 vertices. And I probably will have a subdivision on, whether I have it on the cylinder or not, but I will on other pieces. All right, go into edit mode and rotate Y 90 and pull it up. And it might be easier if we slide it down here, because we can see the top and the bottom might go, it looks like it just dips into the surface a little bit. So let's kind of center it there. I'll go into wireframe and S to scale and just see if you can get the size. We also are a little bit interested in where the edges are for these other pieces, but we're not doing too good with 24 vertices to do this, and so I'm not going to worry about that too much. So just get the right size, and that looks about right. So I'm going to press 1 for vertex selection and box select in wireframe and pull this. I'm going to leave it still about there because I need it underneath this piece to be covered. I'm going to box select these, and I'm going to pull them to the other end again so they'll be covered by this piece. We'll adjust that in a bit. Back into object mode and look at that. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be okay sitting on that piece. So we don't need these end faces. So let's press 3 for face selection and select that one. Hold down Shift, select that one, X faces, and they're gone. We can shade smooth for now, and it looks like that. All right. So we're going to make these end caps now, and I'm going to select part of my model so that when I bring in the next piece, it's going to come right at the end. It's a little bit easier. So in edge selection, Shift Alt and click there. I'm going to set my 3D cursor right to there. Shift S, cursor to selected, and now my 3D cursor is right there. So the piece I'm going to use is a UV sphere, so Mesh, UV sphere, and I don't need 32. I could bring this down to 22 or something like that. I'll just leave the number of rings. You can lower those two. Let's look from the front, and let's rotate Y 90 like that. Looks a little bit like a train, so that's not what we want. Let's go into wireframe. We're going to delete some of this. Press 1 for vertex selection. I just find it easier to see the dots. Press B to box select and box select all of these, the back half of this. X vertices. So I have this. I want to flatten this now to resemble this piece a little bit more. SX, just in the X. So I'm going to do this and flatten it, and then pull it back a little bit, and I'm going to need to scale it. So S to scale, and just look at it and sort of pull it back. S a little bit more, maybe around there. Let's look at that in solid. Now we're going to have a little ridge that comes out, this piece here. So about that size for now is okay. So what I'll do now is I will select this edge. I'm going to press E to extrude and pull back a little ways like that. So I get a flat section here. 3 for face selection, and over one of these lines here, one of these edges, I'm going to press Shift and Alt and click. And that will select all of the faces all the way around. And with that done, I want to scale those out, but first I'm going to extrude, and I'm going to press E and left click, and then Alt S, not just S, but Alt S, so that it scales along the normals. And just come out a little bit till you like the distance, something like that. And that's good. We're going to be putting a subdivision surface on this in a moment. So we're going to add some edge loops to bevel it, but it's also open a little bit here. So I'm going to press 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click that inner edge. And I'm just going to press S and pull down and pull it in like that. We can scale the whole thing a little bit smaller if we need to after. But once we put the subdivision, it's going to shrink it down a little bit. Okay, so let's bevel. Shift and Alt and click this edge. And this edge, we'll start with that. Control B and pull, and I want 3, but I'm going to pull it quite a bit so that it's a bit more rounded, something like that. And I think what I'll do is I will go Control R to add an edge loop, click and slide it up close to this one, just for a bit more support. Back into object mode. Let's try Control 1. Control 1 is the same thing as coming to the wrench and add modifier, choosing subdivision surface. Control 1 is the shortcut. It puts one level. Let's shade smooth and see that. And if you really want it smooth, you can even go bring that up. And this is what we get. Now, if you don't, you may not like how smooth that was, but that's what I wanted to do for this particular model. So we have this now. There is a little indent in here as well. This ring here. All right, and to do that, just for design purpose, come back in and choose one of these concentric rings that you think most approximates the diagram. So I'm going to choose this one. All right, so it's kind of like 2 here, or 3, I guess. 3 and 3. So I'm going to choose this one, zoom in a bit, Control B to bevel it, and pull. That will split it. But roll your mouse back so you just have 2 edges. And get a groove, not too big, something like this. And then we're going to extrude that in, but I would want to do it E Alt S, so that instead of straight back along its normals, because this is a curved surface. So I'm going to press E Alt S, and I'm going to pull. Just pull a little ways in so that you get that. Now we need some supporting edges because it looks a little soft. So Control R, click and drag to about there. Control R, click and drag to about there. And we have a nice indent. Okay, now in my diagram I have this thing here on the other end, but you could easily just take this whole thing and mirror it to the other side. And I think I'll do that. And in order to do that, I need a nice center point. So the cylinder is what I want to mirror across. So I'm going to select it all, Shift S, cursor to select it. That'll bring the 3D cursor right back to the middle. Take this, but I'm going to have to set its origin to the 3D cursor so I can mirror across the cylinder. So with that selected, I'm going to select origin to 3D cursor. Now I can just mirror that across. So I'll go mirror, and it's in the X, and we have the other one. Let's see how close we are to the diagram. I mean, we're a little off, but that's as close as we're going to need it. Okay, with that done, I think that's all we have to do with these, unless you want to do a different design on this. So you could easily do that. I'm not going to bother, so I'm going to go ahead and apply the mirror, not the subdivision. Okay, what's next? I think the next thing to do are these side panels here. No, we're going to do that split in the middle, now that I think about it. So let's go in, look from the front, go into wireframe, this indentation here. I'm going to actually turn off, no, there was no subdivision. All right, good. I'm going to press Control R, drag an edge loop to this side of it, Control R, and drag an edge loop to that side of it. 3 for face selection, Shift Alt and click one of the edges, and I've got the whole area selected. I'm going to use the same technique I use almost all the time, E and Alt S. E, left click, Alt S, pull down. And you can't really tell how far, so just come down. You could even come down to about this other edge if you've got that in your model. If not, just come down to what feels good. Have a look at it, okay? And now, I probably will add a subdivision. Let's try Control 1 on this. It just makes it look a little nicer. And if I do that, I'm just going to go Control R and drag an edge loop close. You can see it pushing the material, kind of like jelly, pushing the material there. So we have edge loops on that side, and Control R, drag an edge loop on the bottom of that little valley, close to the either side. And that's probably good enough. If you really want to, you can, this gets confusing with this on, you can drag an edge loop up about equidistant from this line that we started with. We brought one in and we brought one up. You can do that like this, and that will tighten it up a little bit more. You can play with where those are positioned, but I think that looks just fine like that. Okay, don't forget to save periodically. This may actually be a little bit too wide, but if it is, we can easily fix that. So like I said, we need to do these panels. And I've introduced a problem for myself by putting that in. It would have been easier if I hadn't, because I could easily just take one of these edges, Shift Alt and click all the way across, and I've got this all the way across. But to avoid that, I'm just going to select that edge and then make it longer here. So I'm going to select that edge. Am I looking at the front? Yes, I am. I'm going to select that and build that piece right here off of this edge. So I'm going to Shift D to duplicate it and pull it away from the model, and then press P, separate by selection, go back into object mode, and now I've got this as a separate object, but it's a nice straight line. Go into edit mode, 1 for vertex selection so I can see that vertex. Look from the front and just pull it. So that goes from end to end. We can adjust the length in a bit. And I want to look in wireframe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it up. Now, this piece is probably going to need to be curved, so I think we'll just do that on our own instead of using the curvature of the actual cylinder, which is sometimes something that we would do. So with that there, let's press E to extrude and come down and pull to there. And it looks a little funny because we got a subdivision. I'm going to just get rid of that. So I've now got the height of this piece. If I go 8, you can see that's what's selected there. Going back into solid view. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extrude this back a little bit. I'm going to press E and gesture in the Y or pull in the Y. And it doesn't have to be too thick, something like that. It's kind of got an odd color, at least to my eye. This looks discolored here. It's dark here and it's artificially bright. It's brighter than the rest of my model, and that's because it's flipped. So if I come here to the viewport overlays and choose face orientation, you can see it's red. So I'm going to press A to select it all, Alt N, recalculate outside, and just get into the habit of checking for that. Now we don't need this back face, X faces. In fact, we don't need this end or this end, X faces, because they will be tucked. This piece will be tucked under here. Now if we start bringing this back now, like this, you see that it's a flat piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Control R and drop an edge loop there. And I'm just going to pull it out and sort of look at the back. I can take the whole thing, I can push it in again a little bit. I'm looking to see that it's underneath this lip here. And I can take this and I can pull this out a little bit so it looks almost as if it's rounded, but it looks kind of flat and then flat. And so I'm going to, with that edge selected, I'm going to Control B to bevel, pull like that, and then add one more. And we get sort of a round piece. I can shade this smooth, and we'll have this. Now it looks kind of funny in terms of its coloring, and that's because we haven't beveled it yet. Well, we did that, but what we're going to do is Shift Alt and click this edge. Now that edge is down a little further, let me just pull this up. Let me pull, let's see, hang on. Let me pull this actually down. It's even there, but we're going to have it up here. Now let's just look. Where is it there? Okay. We're going to select this edge and this edge. And we're going to bevel. Control B and pull, and I just need 3. Just like that. Now, what I may do is to get it to follow this contour a little bit better is I may rotate it around the x-axis a bit. So looking like this, I'm going to press R, X, hold Shift, and start pulling. Maybe take my hand off Shift. You can see it rotating there, and just sort of match the curvature of this. And I think we've got it. That was a little long-winded to do that, but it's not hard, but we now have that piece. We will be mirroring that across to the other side in a moment, but now we're going to do these bolts, which will make it look kind of cool. So we need a circle, and you know what? We have a bunch of circles here. I'm going to do that. I'm going to Shift Alt and click that circle, Shift D to duplicate it and pull it out, S to scale, make it somewhat smaller, but it's still part of this object. So P, separate by selection, go into object mode, select that, go into edit mode, F to make a face, but let's turn off the subdivision. And let's rotate this. Let's go RZ 90. So now it's flat, and let's make a little bolt. Let's press E and gesture back. Let's get rid of that back face. 3, select that face, and let's make this nice and rounded. Now the more segments we add, the more polys we're adding. So how about just something like this? Do that. Shade smooth. It might be flipped though, so let's check. It's blue, so it's okay. Let's take this and pull it towards this piece. Let's go 1 to look from the front. Let's go into wireframe. G to grab or go. Pull it up. Zoom in and scale it down until it's roughly that size and position it. And let's just see. Press the period key with it selected to focus on it. It's not quite making contact yet. I'm going to pull it in like that. Okay, and then we can look from the side in wireframe, and you can see this is the piece here that we are trying to add it to, this one with the curve. So let's rotate this and pull it so that it looks right. Let's see, is that the right one? And just have it sticking out the way that you like in roughly the position that you want. I think that's pretty good. Right about there. So let's do 2 at a time. Let's Shift D to duplicate this, push it down, but now it's embedded in because of the curve. Just pull it out, look at the diagram, get this one lined up, and then look from the side, and then just rotate it as well. So it looks like it's, here's the curve. Okay, so it looks like it's projecting out of it. And there are your 2 bullets. All right, they're joined together. That's great. That makes it easier. We're going to add the array modifier. So modifier array. And we're going to do this in the axis. Just pull this a little bit, this factor, this distance. Look from the front in wireframe. And hold Shift if you want to move slower. Just pull it to it's about there. We can start increasing the count now. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you can come back to this, hold Shift and just touch it up. So we have that. So those are my bolts on there. And looks pretty similar to this. So we're good. So I'm going to join these bolts to this piece and then mirror the piece over. So I need to apply the array. I come over here, I have no modifiers on there, so I can select both of them and go Control J. And they're now joined. All right. My 3D cursor, I think, is still in the middle of this thing, so I should be able to mirror across it. So select that, but go Set Origin to 3D Cursor. The origin of this piece is now 3D Cursor. We can mirror across it, choose a mirror, and choose the Y-axis. And that's done. And just double check that it's in behind there. Now, I'm not going to apply the modifiers yet, or the mirror. We'll do that in a bit. So what is next? I guess we got to do the top piece so that we can do the ladder. Okay, so yeah, let's do that. Okay, my 3D cursor is right there. That's fine. Let's just bring in a plane. Go into edit mode and select it, and G, pull it up to I think I'm going to pull it to about there. I'm going to go into wireframe. It might be easier to see. Actually, I'll come down right down to the bottom of it. All right, you can see that I'm okay at the front. Here, I'll press 1. You can sometimes see the vertices better, but not at the back. So in wireframe, box select these and pull them all the way back to here. Now, I pulled back to here and not here because we're going to be extruding it up and scaling it in. So let's just look at this. It's rather wide, and as you can see here, this thing, it just sort of fits on top. So just go SY and just pull it in until you feel relatively satisfied. We can adjust that later. We'll have to make sure the ladder can attach to that. So back to the front view and press E to extrude, pull up, and then we're going to press, let's do, let's see, how do I want to, let's, I guess just S We'll just scale it in like that. Let's go back in solid view and have a look at that. So it brings it in more in the X than in the Y. And let's just do SY. Let's just do a little bit of Y. It looks kind of good when it slopes more in the, lengthwise direction, like a submarine kind of. Okay. At this point, we're going to sort of lose the diagram and just do what we want. We're going to create this indent here. All right, and we're just going to sort of wing it. So you can press 3 for face selection. I find it's a little bit easier and less distracting than seeing the vertices. We're going to press I for inset. Hold shift and pull. That's going to pull it in like that. So do that. Come in however much you really want, something like that. Let's just see if it looks relatively equal. It does. And let's see if it looks thick enough. It sort of does. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to press E to extrude and gesture down. Do that. We can actually delete this face. Let's just get rid of it. Just make sure that you've got a little bit of a lip here. We can extend that. You can, in edge selection, shift alt and click there. It'll go all the way around. You can pull it further down if you need to. That's fine. So now we're going to round this. So just like we did before, shift alt and click here. And by the way, if it doesn't extend into the model yet, we'll fix that. Shift alt and click that edge. We want to get the whole edge. Shift alt and click, shift alt and click. And now, this is quite rounded. I don't know how realistic that looks on this very sharp-edged kind of model, but that's what we're going to do anyhow. So just with that selected, Control B and pull. Give it a nice rounding. And instead of 3, I'm actually going to go up to my usual 5. I know I'm blowing polys. It just gives a smoother curve. So we're going to do that, and then shift alt and click that edge and that edge. And I realize that it's a little bit hard to see, so I'm going to go back to there. So I've got the outer edge and the inner edge. We're going to bevel, but not with 5, just with 3. Control B, hold shift. I almost always hold shift. Scroll back, there's 2, 3, and do that. Okay. Shift alt and click the bottom edge now. Now that does go all the way around, and just pull it down to make sure that it's in. And that may straighten out your angle a bit, but that's fine. So this is what we have here. Okay, we can shade smooth if you want. We may have some smoothing errors. Let's just focus on this and slash, and let's get rid of the bottom. We don't need that. That's going to be buried in. So let's select that bottom face, X faces, and that should clear that up pretty much. Slash key to bring everything else back. So we have this piece, and that's what it's looking like. All right, so now we're going to do something that blows a lot of polys by making this thing. We're making this all in geometry and not in texture. So we're going to create this piece here, and there's a lot of different ways to do it, but the way I'm going to show you, very simple, is let's actually select up here. Let's 2 for edge selection, shift alt and click any one of these edges that goes around. Shift as cursor to selected. That brings my 3D cursor right to the middle, at least of this rather than the rest of it. Okay, I'm going to look down from the top, Shift A, mesh plane, go into edit mode and scale it down. Press G and pull it over. And what I want to do is, these are perfect squares right now. I'm going to come back to my diagram. I want, each square is going to represent a circle, and as you can see here, it looks like I've got 5 circles. So I'm going to want to have 5 planes across here. So I'm just going to scale that down a little bit. I'm just going to push it underneath. That's why I did it this way. And just make sure that it's in. And we can use the array. Let's come add modifier array. We're going to go in the Y direction though. Just figure out which one it is. This one. Make this -1. 0 at the X, so that's 2, 3, 4, that's 4. And the less holes, the less geometry, but I'll scale it down and see if we can get a 5th one in there, and then just scale it so that it hits the wall. All right, that's not quite right. I'm just going to pull it over to there, and what am I going to do? Scale it. Okay, touches. All right, so let's do some work on this. Very simply, we're going to make a hole here, so I'm going to select it, and I'm going to subdivide this 2 times, like that. That's what we have right there. Press 3 for face selection and C for paint select. So now I can just, I can click on all of this, and there, I just want that. Escape to get out of that. I've got those selected, or select them any way you want. I'm going to press I to inset, hold shift and pull in. So we have a square inside a square. And then use loop tools. Right click loop tools, circle, or wherever your loop tools is located. It's an add-on for Blender. S to scale. And then you can make these as big as you want. One more thing I'm going to do, or two more actually. Press I to inset again. Hold shift and pull in like this to get a supporting loop around our actual circle or hole. And I'm going to press E to extrude and come down a little ways, and then delete those faces. So I now have this. Okay, I can shade smooth, and I will be putting on a subdivision surface. But first of all, let's get this just so it's actually embedded there. All right, first of all, we'll work on this, and then we'll put the subdivision on. So with that done, I'm going to array it again, a second array. This time I'm going to come out in the X, and it's a good idea to click on merge. You can click on merge for both of them. And this one, I'm just going to hold shift and drag this until I get to near the end. And then hopefully it's going to fit, and if it doesn't, you can scale it, but that looks pretty good. So I like that, and that's what I'm going to be going with. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to apply the arrays. And once again, that's used a lot of polys. Let's go into edit mode, select it all, and let's go M merge by distance and see if we got rid of any. We didn't. Control 1 adds a subdivision, one subdivision, and we can now see that by our statistics we're up at about 61,000. All right, we can take this and push it down a little bit. So this may start to slow your computer down, so you can always turn off the subdivision. Without the subdivision, we're at 43,000. Without this piece, we're at 37. Okay, so whatever. It's not so bad, 6,000 or so. Actually, but then you put that on, so that jumps it up too. So where were we without this? 37 to 60. So what is that? 23,000. At any rate, that's going to be the highest poly killer there. So now let's do that ladder and get that in, because we may have to change the height of that. Let's do this. Let's look from the front and Shift A, mesh plane. We've got a plane. Let's go into edit mode. Let's just press G. Just move it over here. All right, the ladder is going to be kind of here. What I'm going to do is press 1 for vertex selection. It's selected all of them, and M merge at center. So I have a single point. I'm going to press G and come over to here. This is where the ladder starts, and then there's a little base. So I've got that point there. I'm going to extrude it, E to extrude, and I'm going to pull up, and I'm basically just going to trace this. I can select the whole thing, G, X. I can move it into the middle, pretty much into the middle of this thing. It's 1 point, so just select it there. I'm going to press E and G and just move it like that. And then E and extrude it into there. So this is what we have here. And we can move this because it looks like it's embedded in our model a bit, but it's sort of like that there anyhow, so let's not worry about that for the moment. Let's give this a bit of thickness. Let's see, we can't tell exactly how thick to make it. All right, so with that there, let's do this. Let's pull it over here to the side, E to extrude, and pull it out in the Y a little bit like this. Okay, so I've got that. With that done, I'm going to press E and Alt S to give this some thickness. E, Alt S, push, and that's going to push it out. And I'm just looking at this, and I'm looking at the diagram, and I'm not really paying attention to the diagram. Alt S. I can pull that in a little bit. I can pull it down a little bit. It's not going to follow exactly, but that's close enough. All right, something like that. All right, so let's focus on that piece. I went back to object mode, slash key. Let's get rid of some faces we don't need. 3, select that face, and this face, X faces. And now I'm going to just give this a little bevel. So in edge selection, Shift Alt and click all of these edges here. and we'll just give it a little bevel. Control B, pull, and I want 3, so we'll do something like that. And the only other thing is I don't really like these sharp edges, so Shift Alt and click these sharp edges and give them a little bevel, maybe even a little bit more, so it's a bit sci-fi-ish, like that. Slash key to come back to here. All right, and I don't mind it pushing into the model. That's actually a design thing. Now the 3D cursor is right in the middle there, so we probably can use that to mirror this. So I'm going to set the origin to the 3D cursor and mirror. I'm going to mirror across the Y. At this point, we need to look at the diagram and see how far. See, they seem to be spread out a little farther than that, and they may even be a little thinner. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this one and move it out. And you know what? I think I need to make it narrower. SY, scale in the Y. I'll make it a little narrower so I can pull it out. Of course, we didn't make this as wide. How would that look as a ladder? It is a relatively narrow ladder. Let's go with that for now and see how it works out. Okay, 3D cursor is still right there. Let's make the ladder rungs and see how we like this. Shift A, mesh plane, scale it a bit. Let's bring it over here where we're going to make the rungs of the ladder, the steps of the ladder. Just bring it down like that. Let me bring that in. I'm going to select this edge, pull it in. And I hope these aren't too narrow in order to make the steps. They're looking rather narrow. Let's bring that in because this is going to have to fit in between. Let's scale it in the X and just see if we can get away with it. Yeah, you know what? I think we can. Scale in the Y so that it's in there. Let's just go ahead and give the ladder steps some height like that. Not too much. You know, a little bit maybe narrower, less high than this is wide, if that makes sense. All right, let's go with that and see. We may actually be able to scale in the X a little bit more and pull it in. Okay, let's get rid of the ends we don't need. Slash key to focus on that. We're not going to need that one, and we're not going to need that one. Okay, I'm going to take the whole thing now. No, I'm not. I'm just going to take these edges, although I could have done it that way, but. And we're going to bevel them. Control B, pull with 3, just a little bit like that, slash key. All right, so where does it start? It starts kind of at the bottom of that curve. So I'm going to Control 3 to look from the side and pull it down to about there. It seems to be where it starts in the diagram. And how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's try that in the Z. Let's add an array. In the Z, start pulling it up and zero out the X. We just want in the Z. Let's try typing in 7, see where we get to, and then let's just bring this number down. And how high is the last step? Just under the curve there. It's a little lower than that. So let's see how that looks. Hey, can we get away with that? I'm going to shade smooth. I'm going to shade smooth. I think they're a little wide, so I'm going to go into edit mode. And I am going to scale them in the X. And just reposition them. And I think we're going to live with that. Okay. All right, so now we need to put the bolts that are on the side of the ladder. Can you see that? You can see that over here. There's some bolts on the side of the ladder. And there are some bolts up on this thing too. There's a lot of bolts. So let's just work on that. So let's come in here, select one of these. Control L selects all the parts of it. So if I have just that piece and I want to get the whole thing, Control L. Now that's going to be mirrored to the other side. There's a mirror, but we'll deal with that. Shift D to duplicate, pull it out. P to break it out. And we're going to get rid of the mirror. We'll mirror these in a bit. So I've got that. Let's look up from the side view in wireframe. Scale it down, G to grab. So our ladder is a little off. So we're just going to use our intuition now. I'm going to take this and position it kind of in the middle of our ladder. Where is that? Come on in here. Oh, and this is a little tilted. So Control 3 to look from the side, and we're just going to straighten that out. We could have built a new one, but why bother? There we go. I'm going to go around that position. Let's see. Yeah, that's going to be fine. Okay. Look from the front, and we're going to add an array. In the Z, hold shift, we're going to come down. So come down a bit, zero out the X. I think we're probably going to have 7, but we'll see. Let's go into wireframe, and let's just increase this and just line them up at least on the side as much as we can. That's probably okay. And let's deselect. And yeah, I mean, it just adds a nice touch to it. Just looking at the position of it, I think that's probably what we want. Okay, so I'm going to apply the array, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to join it to this side, and it should get mirrored onto that side. Control J. There. So on both sides. Now they don't line up. These bolts don't line up exactly with these rungs. If you know that's what you wanted, you could do that. Tell you the truth, these things are looking a little square to me, and so I may scale these in the Z. Just make them look a little flatter. And I think I'm going off the diagram now, and then I'm going to increase the size of this back up here. And I just think I feel better like that for a ladder. Yeah, whatever. Let's keep saving. All right, we're going to do the ones along the side. So I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to grab any one of these. Control L, Shift D to duplicate, pull it up, and pull it in a little bit. P to break it out. And I'm going to get rid of the mirror for the time being, just so it makes it a little bit easier. And I'm going to look from the side, which is Control 3 of this. And I'm going to press G, and I'm going to pull it in. And you know what? That's a nice angle. It's working out pretty good with respect to the angle. So I'm going to look from the front, and I'm going to press G and just drag it over, maybe scale it a bit. And how does that? Well, no, maybe the angle has to change just a little bit, and I just want to pull it out a bit more. I could probably live with that. So I'm going to go into edit mode. Actually, don't have to be in edit mode. I'm going to add an array in the X. I'm going to pull this so it lines up pretty much with the next one, and I'm going to start increasing the count. There. Okay, 6. That looks fine like that. And the bolts just add, you know, some detail to this. So that's good. I'm going to apply that array, and then I'm going to mirror it. And I think this is central, so I'm going to set the origin to the 3D cursor and mirror in the Y. And just double check that it looks good. And I think so. And I think I will go ahead and apply the mirror, and I'm going to join these. Let's see. That's got no modifier. I'm going to join these bullets to this. Control J and have that done. And I will probably join a lot of this. We can work on some of that later. All right, let's do the little base for the ladder part now. Okay, we're getting there. It takes a while. Okay, so my 3D cursor is there. That's fine. Shift S, Shift A, mesh, plane, scale it, pull it down here under the feet there. And I'm going to scale in the X and do something like this. And I realize I'm not looking at the diagram again. Okay, so there it is. Okay, something like this. Get it there. E to extrude, pull it in, but delete that bottom face. And we will have this. It's just, I think I need to come out a little bit like that. And now we're going to bevel this. So I'm going to, I could probably select it all actually. And Control B, pull with 3. And that's what the effect that we're going to want to get anyhow. Shade smooth. Don't worry about any shading errors. All right, so now we're getting there. Let's do the fans on top here. All right, a lot of little details on this thing. Let's save. Let's do the fans on top. So my 3D cursor is right there. Let's bring in a new circle. And let's go for something like 22 vertices. Go to edit mode, 1 for vertex selection. I'm going to get rid of the statistics for now. We'll have a look at that later. Scale it down. Look from the front view. I'm going to press G. I can just grab the thing. Just bring it over here to get the approximate size. No, that's not it. Over here. There we go. Alright, so about there, I'm going to press E to extrude and come down. Select E and S and come into there. E and come up. E and S and just come in however much you want, something like that. And E, and I'm going to come all the way down to about there. Okay, let's bevel this. In edge selection, Shift Alt and click this edge, this one, and this one. Control B and pull, and I'll have the 3. I think we should bevel this edge as well, though, with 3. And we'll shade smooth, and I will probably do a Control 1 and look a little bit nicer. Now, how high do we want this? We want it about that height, so I'm going to Shift Alt and click this edge and pull it down in as well. So now it makes contact. Alright, so now we need a little middle piece and then the fan blades. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just use a circle off of this thing here. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to press 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt to click any edge really will do, Shift D to duplicate, scale it in, and let's break it in for now. And how big? Well, it's a little middle piece there with a bit of design, so what we could do is just go with that for now. And let's take that and just pull it down a little bit. 1 for vertex selection so we can see what we're doing. E to extrude, just pull it down like that. And the blades will attach to that. And let's take this, let's focus on that. Let's just press E and come in, S to come in, and then maybe just E and come up and close it. Let's get rid of the subdivision for now. So I've just got that. Do any design you want here. I'm going to bevel this back. It's kind of a big bevel, and then I'm going to bevel this with just 3 like that. But I think again we should bevel this like that, and I can shade smooth that, and that can be the part that our fan blades attach to. You can do any other design you want. So let's bring the 3D cursor there though. Shift S, cursor to select. It'll be easier for us to do the rest of this. Okay, so we're going to make the fan blades now, and they may not be the exact same size, but that's okay. So I'm going to look down from the top and zoom in. And to do this, there's lots of ways to make fan blades. This is an easy one. Make a plane, bring it in, pull it up here to about the height you want the blade. Take this edge here, pull it in so it makes contact, S to scale, and just sort of shape your fan blade, something like that. Select this edge and hit Shift Control B, not just Control B, Shift Control B, and pull. And it looks like I have 3 vertices there. I'm going to roll my mouse. There's 4, 5. And I'm going to stick with that. And you get this shape. And hopefully that's okay. All right, let's give it some thickness. So let's press E and extrude down. Just that's good enough like that. And let's focus on this blade so we can get rid of this face that's embedded in the other object. We can bevel this as well right now. So in edge selection, Shift Alt and click both of those. Control B and pull. Roll back so you have just 3 edges. We can shade smooth that. And we're going to rotate this a little bit. I think it's easiest if we, because this is selected, if we set our pivot to that 3D cursor, and then we can just rotate around the Y, just RY, just like that. Do something like that. All right. All right, let's look down from the top. Our 3D cursor is right here, and that's where our pivot is. So let's just go into edit mode and copy. Shift D, rotate Z 180. So we have one there. Select it all. Shift D, rotate. You don't even have to say Z if you're looking straight down. 90. Select it all. Shift D, rotate 45. And we have that. Hopefully they don't interact too much. We may want to pull these down a little bit like that. And that is my fan up top. Is that it? That's pretty much it. Yep, that's it. So I think I'm going to join all this stuff together. So what have I got? I got a subdivision. Okay. I put it on because I didn't want it like that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply it. I'm going to come right in right away. And I say, okay, it's nice and smooth. Now what can I get rid of? I'm going to get rid of these ones, and I'm going to get rid of those ones. Dissolve edges, not delete. And really all I needed were these ones around here to make it a rounder circle, so I can get rid of a lot of this junk. I'm going to get rid of these. And you'll notice that I end up with the 3 edges that I usually use from beveling anyhow. That's kind of what I'm going for here. So I'm just trying to get rid of extra stuff that I don't need. I don't have to do this for a render, but, you know, I'm just going to do it anyhow. So that's back to, you know, kind of how I would bevel it. It's just it's smoother. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to Control J. I'm going to join them. And I'm going to join them to those fan blades. I'm going to come in, and I'm just, for the heck of it, going to go merge by distance, see if I get rid of anything. And by the way, we should be doing this periodically because, look, my fan blades are facing the wrong way. So let's select that. Alt-N, recalculate outside, make sure everything's blue. This thing isn't here. Just some housekeeping. And you see little bits of red. That's the inside of the model, so we don't care about that. All right, so we got that. Let's hide that. All right, so hopefully that's an okay fan. Yeah, so, all right, let's just take that and Shift D to duplicate it and bring it over here. Now we're in, let's change this pivot back to median point. Let's go in here, though, and just for interest, instead of having the exact same orientation, let's just go RZ and just turn it a little bit so the fan blades aren't exactly the same. There's one more little one, and so let's do that. Let's grab this, whether you're in object mode or not. I'm going to do it here, Shift D, G. I'm going to go into edit mode, S to scale, and just make it somewhat smaller, and put it somewhere like there. And this one I'm just going to push down, and I'll just do it like that. You can move that later. Let's remember to save. All right, we are doing okay. Yep. All right, so we got to do the side things and the pipes and all that stuff. Okay, let's have a look at this thing here. Let's turn off the subdivision for the moment. All right, and I'm just wondering if I can use something from here. Let's see if I select there. I think I'm going to do a similar thing as this. I think I'm going to do this. I just turn off the subdivision. I'm going to Shift D to duplicate, pull out, P to break it out. There are ways to do this where you just select the faces of the cylinder, but I didn't have the number of segments that I would need to do that. I'm going to turn the subdivision back on that. I've got this piece. All right. I'm going to scale this. I'm looking at the orange line, and it's roughly the position I need it there. But it's not here, so I'm going to take that. So I'm roughly getting that size. I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to pull down. And we're going to make this curve the way we need it to. All right? With that done, first of all, I'm going to extrude back a little ways and X faces. Get rid of the back face. I'm going to start pushing this in. I'm going to add an edge loop there. I'm going to take this. Now, I'm going to Control 1. You know what? Let me think about this a little bit. Control 3 to look from the side with it all selected and in wireframe. And I'm going to press R to rotate. And I'm going to press G, and I just don't know where I'm coming in. It might be to this black line. Let me see. I think it probably was. All right, so with that in there, I'm going to Shift Alt and click this edge. And I'm going to try switching to normal. And now my axes line up with my model. And I'm going to push that out a little bit. Control B to bevel. Do that. Take it all. Pull it in. And I think that's probably good enough for what we want to do. So, you know, that's how it's going to sit. Now, let's bevel this some more. Let's go back to global. And sorry if that was a little bit weird, but we're going to select this edge and this edge and this edge and this edge. And I'm just going to bevel it by eye. I'm just going to do this. I might give it 5 just to make it nice and round. Was that 6 or 5? Shift Alt and click this edge, and we'll have to click multiple times to get it to go all the way around. I want to bevel this, but with just 3. And then we'll put a subdivision on this. Control B, pull, just 3. There's 2, 3, like that. Shade smooth. Control 1. It's already got it. There we go. And that's going to be our side plate here. Okay. Now we're going to need another one, and I think what I'll do, let's see if I can just... okay, I'm wondering if I can make this a little bit bigger then, if I need to. Let's try switching to normal. Nah, I can't really do it that way. Alright, I'm just going to globally scale this, and then I'm going to come in wireframe, take this, and pull this back a little bit. I just want it a little bit bigger, like that. And I might switch to normal and just pull that in just a bit, just like that. And I could probably use this. Let's see, let's go into animal. Let's just go back to global. Shift D to duplicate and pull it here, and I can use that for the other one. Okay, so I've got those there. Alright, it's time to start working on the pipes. And the pipes will have a little base that they attach to, that you can see here. Okay, just like that. It's basically like this piece here. So let's do this. To make this, let's take this face. Shift D to duplicate, pull it out, and look in wireframe, scale it in the X. Now this edge is lining up right here. This edge isn't, but it's still joined to the other piece. So let's break it out. Break it out. Look from the front again, go into wireframe, box select here. Might have to press 1. Box select and pull that in to here. So I've got the width. I'm just going to extrude it back into the main base and delete that face. So I have this. Now in edge selection, I'm going to select this edge and this edge. Look from the front. Go into wireframe. Nah, this one's not quite yet there. Is that right? And that's better, right? That's better. Okay. I'm going to select this edge and this edge. Let's do that again. And Control B and pull. And I want just to roll back just like that. Just like we did before. All right. And do I want that little raised part? Looks like I do. So I'm going to select this, go back in and look. And I'm actually going to pull it down to here. And then I'm going to extrude up to about here and S. And just come in like that. So now I'm going to bevel it. Shift Alt to click the top and the bottom. Control B and pull. And I want 3. And then grab the edges. And I'll do 3. And that's probably okay for what I need. Okay, may have gotten an extra face in here or 2, so I can look from Control 3 in wireframe, box select here, and you know what, because that's inserted in there, I'm going to actually X faces, and I'm going to take this whole thing here, and I'm going to scale Y0 just to straighten it out on the inside. We don't need it in any weird shape. No one's going to see it anyhow, but that's it. You might as well get rid of the bottom. There we go. So we have our base, and it's in roughly the right position. It may not be sticking out the right size, but we'll see. Okay, so to do the pipes, we are going to select this. Select a piece, Control L, Shift S, cursor selected. Bring the 3D cursor right to the middle of that. And I'm going to bring in a, how am I doing this? Yeah, I'm going to do it like this. All right, I'm going to bring in a plane, scale it down, just move it anywhere really. 1, and I'm going to merge at center. I just want that one point. And I'm going to pull it back in. So it's pretty much in the middle of this thing here. Control 3 to look from there. And I'm going to press E to extrude and come out. And then E to extrude and come down so that it hits the base. Now I'm going to have to move it back. And you can put it in the middle of this, or you can put it, I think mine's a little bit more there. But we're going to have to see because we're going to be making this pipe. So I think what I'll do here is, yeah, we're just going to bend that. So I'm going to select that vertex, Shift Control B to bevel, pull. There's 3 vertices. I'm going to roll up. I'm going to use 5. And just do that. So it looks like that. Okay. Right click and convert to curve, and in a curve dialog box, let's under geometry and bevel, let's just hold shift and just pull that up like that. Let's we can look from front, and we can just move this over, and that's about the thickness that we want anyhow. How about that? I'm just going to come in and I'm going to take this point, I'm going to pull it in a little bit more so it's in. I just want to make sure the pipe makes contact or looks like it's roughly in the middle of this plate like area, and that's okay. The only other thing is I may need to move it back a bit because I got to put a round piece there. So I'm going to look from Control 3. I'm going to come in and I'm going to box select all of this stuff. Okay, I don't need the front one really. If I happen to get it, doesn't even really matter. I just want to pull it out so there's a bit more room, and then maybe I have to pull that back in. All right, good enough. All right, so that's going to be my pipe, and that's going to work just fine, actually. And different ways to do this. How about we're going to need to make this round piece where it joins. See that round, like the seal there? You can bring another circle in, or we could just do it like this. We could select this piece and this one. Part of a straightaway, Shift D, P, break it right out. So this is, I'm selecting, that's an actual extra piece. Increase the depth of that a little bit. Come back in, take this edge, that one, pull it in. Well, we're going to have to pull it to about there. And this, so we're going to do this, and then we're going to rotate this. At least I've got a piece there, all right, that we can use. And I might actually make it bigger. We'll see, you know, something like that. All right, let's convert this to a mesh. Let's scroll up. I don't want a resolution of 12. I'm going to go with 3. Convert to mesh. Let's come in. It's now a mesh. Shift Alt to click this upper edge. F to make a face. Whoops. F to make a face. We're going to bevel this. Control B. I just need 3. I can shade smooth that. I'll probably put a subdivision on there. Control 1 I just did. And now what I want to do is I want to line this up. Or angle it really. So I'm going to come here. And I'm going to, see there's my plate there, so I'm going to just start rotating it. I'll maybe scale it a bit. And just play with it. Rotate it until it looks okay. And, you know, none of the pipe sticks out. And that's actually probably fine. I may go ahead and convert this pipe into a mesh now. So I'm going to choose, I think I'll choose 4 instead of 3. Just get a little bit higher resolution. Convert to a mesh. So it's done. All right. I mean, I will put a subdivision on it though. That'll shrink it even a little bit more. We'll do all the work on this one, and then we'll mirror it over. All right. So what do we need to do on this now that it's a mesh? Let's go in. So we've got these indents here. So and I may turn off the subdivision just for the moment. So let's select it and Control R, and I'm just going to bring one right to about the middle, but it may be on an angle, so I'm going to press SZ0. Yeah, it was on an angle. So let's put that right in the middle of that crevice there, and right in the middle of this one here. Okay, so now we can select both of those edges. I know it's a little hard to see. Let's. I'm going to come out of wireframe just so you can see it. This one is a little close to this edge here, and I'm nervous that when I bevel, let's see how much we're going to have to bevel and see if we're going to hit it. Control B, pull. I just want to roll to there. I can make them that big. Do I hit that edge? I can move this edge. And that's what I'll do in just a moment. I'm okay down here, but up here, I'm just going to E and Alt S and pull as much as I want. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to take this edge, and I can't just pull it up. I'm going to press GG for edge slide and just slide it along there. In fact, I'm going to need an edge down there, but all right, let's do this. Edges. I'm going to take this and I'm going to bring it back. I changed my mind, and it's just going to lie along there. Okay, so I need an edge there. Did I bring one up here? I'm going to need an edge here. The reason is when I put the subdivision on, I need some support there. And we got that. I'm going to need an edge coming down here just close, and up here just close, and up here and down there. And we're going to get this. And do I have a bottom? No, I don't have a bottom on it. All right, cool. Okay, that pretty much looks like it, right? So it's this and this. All right, we're going to need those bolts on there. That's going to really give it a nice texture. So let's do that. Let's take maybe this one because it's very close. Control L, Shift D to duplicate, pull it out, P to break it out, and just get rid of any modifiers on that bolt right now. Just get rid of the mirror. Okay, let's look in wireframe, and we'll scale it down and just drag it to pretty much where it's supposed to be. Now, really, is that the center of this post? That's the question. Oh, it's pretty darn close. Yeah, that's good. That's going to be just fine. Okay, so in wireframe, let's duplicate that so we have the two of them. So I got those two things right there, and I want to get them to go around here. So the way I'm going to do that is I am going to, in 3 face selection, Shift Alt and click just that segment, not the whole pipe, just that segment that I want to rotate around. Shift S, cursor selected. Bring my 3D cursor there. So I got those two there, and I've got my 3D cursor there. I'm going to switch, not to that, to 3D cursor, my pivot there, and then look down from the top in edit mode. Actually, we'll do this in wireframe. And I'm going to Shift D, rotate Z 180. Select the whole thing, Shift D, rotate Z 90. I don't even have to say Z if I'm in an orthographic view. And I've got those there. All right. And then I can take those and I can go into wireframe and go into edit mode. Don't I need them on this one? No, just the bottoms? All right, just the bottoms. Never mind. All right. So what I'll do is I think we will join that to here. Wait, there's a subdivision on here. I'm going to apply that subdivision. And as soon as I do that, I don't like this or this or this. Dissolve edges. And I don't like the position of this. I'm going to select that. Let's go back to median point and GG. And just to tighten it up a little bit, just dissolve that edge, and I'm going to join those, Control J. Okay, so with that done, let's actually join, we need a little circle on the bottom. I wonder if I can take this and just rotate it. Shift D to duplicate, take that over here, look from the front and rotate it, and bring it down here. Maybe scale it and push it down. Just trying to position it in an okay spot. I think that's probably pretty good. So I'm going to take this and this. I'm just going to join them. No, I'm not. I'm going to apply the subdivisions here, and then I'm going to join them. So everybody is joined up, and there's a lot of subdivisions. And I may want to come in here and merge by distance. I didn't get rid of anything, so that's fine. All right, let's take this one, bring the 3D cursor there, take this and set the origin to the 3D cursor, and then we'll mirror it. And that's good. Okay. I'm not going to do the bolts on this right now. We can leave that for another time. I'm just looking at the time in general, and we have this. And I hope that's a decent distance. Yeah, it looks pretty close. All right, let's do the other pipe now real quick. Let's see. Let's just bring in a plane. I'm going to bring it up. One, merge by distance. No, that's not what I want. Merge at center. And it's going to start over here somewhere. All right, but we can actually look from here. And I'm just going to press G, and I'll get it to around the position it's going to start. It's going to start around there, and it's going to come up and go down. So let's look from this position. I can't really do it from any other position. We're going wireframe, actually probably closer to the base of this. I'm going to come up on a little bit of an angle like that. I'm going to come out, and I'm going to come down pretty much in line with this, like that. So I have a little bit of a dip out here. I can even do a bit more. All right, I'm going to take this and Shift Control B, and I'm going to split it, and I'm going to put 5 in there. You get a nice big gentle curve. But this one I'm going to curve, Shift Control B, I'm only going to put 3. Something like that. And hopefully I can have enough room to make my pipe. I'm going to take this and convert to a curve and start bringing up the bevel depth. And I may hit, and I may actually have to extend it. So let's just look. That is actually about the right size. All right, so that's pretty easy to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select these 3 and all of these, and I'm just going to pull them up. I'm going to take this one, I'm just going to pull it out and in and just, manipulate it. Take all of these, pull them forward. Take this one, maybe pull it in a bit. Just do something like that till you get the size that you want. I kind of want this one a little bit bigger anyhow. So I don't know if I'm following the diagram or not. So we're going to have that, right? I'm going to shade smooth that. I can do a Control 1 for now so you get a sense of what it's like. All right, so there's that. That's fine. So we're going to pretty much convert it and then start doing those, and I'll do that join. And we're close to being done. I say there's a lot of stuff going on. So for this, yeah, I think that's what I need, right? Unless it goes up higher. If you want to make it higher, yeah, I think we do actually. So let's do this. Let's just grab these 3 and these ones and just bring it up. Right? There, roughly like that. Okay. You can always play with these a little bit too in order to just smooth out your curve. That's probably going to be just fine. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to put a resolution of 4, and I'm going to convert that to a mesh. And I want something for this pipe to attach to, so a circle of some sort. So there's a rather high poly circle, but I'm going to use it anyhow. Shift D to duplicate, pull it out here, scale it down a bit, P to break it out, and take that. And I'm just going to press F to make a face. I'll scale it, position it, and may move that fan. I'm going to extrude down in, but I'm going to delete the bottom face. Thank goodness, at least that. Take this in Control B and just have 3. We'll shade smooth. And yeah, let's move that fan over there. Let's take this and just move it back. No, not quite. Oh, that's why. All right, get it centered roughly. All right, okay, that could attach there. That's cool. We'll get the subdivision going on this in a minute. And of course, we're going to need something in the base of it. So why don't we borrow one of these for that one there? Okay, so Control L to select it all, Shift D to duplicate, pull it out. Now let's just move it to there. P to break it out and get rid of, what do we got, a mirror on it? Yeah. Okay, let's slide that over here. We can scale it out so it, it matches this pipe and just position it. It's nice if they're not perfectly in line because it's a bigger pipe. Yeah, I'm going to do that. All right, good. Okay, so let's go Control 2, actually. No, yeah. Control 2 on that pipe. Save. Let's do the splits, and we're almost done. All right, so we need an edge loop in here, so let's come into edit mode, Control R, I'm going to put an edge loop there, but let's straighten it, SZ0, and one down here, and just to be sure, SZ0, select both of these, Control B and pull just with 2 to make this split, E and Alt S, pull in. Let's go back in object mode and then just drag edge loops up and down to tighten that up. Put one inside here and there, down here, and up here. A lot of the same stuff, but it takes a while, doesn't it? It's not hard to do though. Okay, so we have that, but there's another one up here that's got like a little bit of sort of thread to it. Well, we could see it, so let's just do something like that, and let's just decide. Yeah, okay. All right, let's do that. So I'm going to drop one more edge loop there and straighten it in the Y, SY0. Control B and just use however much space. I'm going to use more than I usually would. E and Alt S and pull. We'll drop an edge loop here and here. And for here, we're going to go Control R and roll up till I have 3. Control B and pull with just 2. E and Alt S and push to make sort of like thread. I don't know if that looks like thread, but kind of cool effect of that pipe. All right, let's keep saving. We're getting there. Now, I want to support these 2 pipes by joining them together, and I want to just double check. You know what, before I do that, maybe I will take some bolts here. See if I can use both of those. Control L, Shift D to duplicate, pull them over here, P to break them out, select them here. I want to pull them forward, but I want to get rid of that mirror. And let's use this on this one. Close enough. We'll pull them in. And I'm going to pull them a little bit this way. Yeah, that's okay. Okay. And I do want them on both the top and the bottom one. So I'm going to Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to pull them up here as well. Like that. And just like before, we're going to select that as our central piece. Shift S, cursor is selected. So now we can take these and we're going to set the pivot to the 3D cursor right there. Make it like in wireframe. Shift D, rotate Z 180. Select it all. Shift D, rotate Z 90. And we should have what we need. We got our bolts. Save. All right, so to make the join between these two, we will do the following. I'm going to drop an edge loop on here, Control R, and come back to median point. Let's make sure it's straight, SZ0, and I'm going to break it out right away. So there it is. Scale it a little bit. Come into edit mode, and we can get rid of some of these vertices. In fact, I want to get rid of all the vertices except the one that's straight out here on the side for both of these. So I want to get rid of all those vertices. So I want this one and this one. And I'm going to turn on clipping on the mirror. I'm going to press E to extrude, and they're going to join like that. And I press E to extrude, whoa, and move it up. And let's actually look at the diagram now. And I'm just going to pull the whole thing down, scale it in the Z. And we have this. And I'm going to scale it in a little bit, maybe in a little bit wide, something like that. So look at this again, scale in the Z. Okay, and to give it some thickness, we're going to use E, Alt S, and push or pull. We'll actually push to bring it in like that. Now let's bevel the edges, 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click that edge and the bottom one. And Control B, pull with 3. Shade smooth, And let's apply the mirror and come in here and just get rid of the extra edges. Shift Alt and click that. We don't need those dissolve edges. And we have them nicely joined like an elastic band almost. And then you can put a bolt on there too if you'd like. Control L, Shift D to duplicate, pull it up, and we can pull it out a little bit. And then you can decide where you want that bolt. I'll break it out and I'll come in here and I'll select this again, Shift S, cursor to selected. I'll bring my 3D cursor right to there and I'll take this piece and look down. I'm going to go into edit mode and I'm just going to rotate in the Z, and it should rotate around. And if it doesn't perfectly go, if it starts to sink in, you know, I'm just going to come to here and I'm just going to, just by hand, move it out a little bit and move it to where I want it. Something like that. I'm okay with that. I'm not even looking at the diagram, I'm just doing that. Okay. What else do we need? Okay, we need a couple of bolts there, and we need a couple of vents. Let's easily do that. Let's grab some bolts again. Okay, Shift D to duplicate. P to break it out, get rid of the mirror, and see where we're at. Scale it. Oh, yeah, something else selected. That can happen. There we go. Scale it. And we'll duplicate it right now. And let's just see where we're at. Okay, push it in. All right, and you know what I may do? I may just use the diagram. I'm going to duplicate it to here and duplicate it to there. And really, you know, if there's any bolts that I'm missing here and there, you could just add them. It's just repetitive to do that. Let's just look at doing the vents and doing this thing, and then we will be done with our model. And there's quite a lot going on, as you can see. So let's do the gas part here. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to select there, bring my 3D cursor there, and I'll build it, but I'll build it straight. So let's just bring in a new circle. And you could use 18 or 22 or whatever. I probably will put a subdivision on. I'll just build it this big for now, and then we can change that. All right, so I'm going to make this. So I'm going to extrude up a little bit. It's very simple. E and S. I'm going to come in and make the nozzle part of it, and just like that. I'm going to bevel here. Bevel with 3, and I want to put some threads on here, so I'm going to roll up 3 times and Control B, but roll back to 2, E and Alt S, and pull, I guess, to make them come out. Now I'll probably put a Control 1 on there and shade smooth and drag an edge loop in here. So I have this piece. I'm going to select the top here, this top edge, and bring my 3D cursor there just to be a little bit closer, and we'll make the cap, which is like a hexagon. So Shift A, mesh circle, but this time switch this to 6. Scale it. F to make a face. Scale it down like this. Give it some thickness, like about that. Select it all, and the edges are selected, and Control B and pull, and have 3. And I'll take that and I'll just push it on. All right, so it's sort of like that. Now let's see how big it is. Okay, it's a little bit too big, so I'm going to scale Shift Z, not in the Z. I'm going to scale that down. In fact, I think what I need to do is to widen this. I'm going to select those faces, Control plus a couple times, scale Shift Z. So it's like that, and then I could potentially take all of that and scale it down if I needed to do that. We'll do something like that. This part just seems a little wide, the neck, compared to this. So, okay, we'll live with that. And then I need to do a ring, and you know what? I think I'm going to do it like this. Shift D to duplicate, pull this up. Let's rotate X 90, or rotate Y90, either one. I'm going to P to break it out, and I just need a half, so I'm going to get rid of this, all of these vertices. I just need something like that. I'll get rid of the subdivision. I'll turn this into a curve, and I'll just increase the bevel depth. And I've got my sort of handle. And what I may do is take these and extrude down one more level, like that. And then I can adjust how wide I want that, how big. To do this. Okay, so let's do this. Let's apply that, and let's join that, and let's convert this to a mesh just with 3 for my resolution, and convert it to a mesh, and now we can just join it. So we have this piece here. All right, and again, you could go in and you could get rid of edges, and I probably well, maybe not that one. You know, there's too many, but it doesn't matter. All right, so I'm going to look from the front, and I'm going to go in a wireframe, and I'm going to rotate it. I'll scale it down a bit, and let's see where this baby's going to go. Pretty close to there, actually. Yeah, pretty close to there. All right, we're going to finish this off. We're going to do a couple of dials and an arrow as a sort of a mock gauge. The only thing is, I don't think I'd want that handle like that. Can I rotate in the Z? Yeah, I can do that. No, I don't need to do that. Okay, I just didn't want the handle straight that way. All right, at any rate, let's just do these last ones. We'll do it the same kind of way. I'll make a new circle, and I'll use like something like 18 vertices. I'll go back to median point though, or global, I mean. And I'm just going to make a little dial of some sort. So how about we E and S will come in, extrude up to do this. We don't need the bottom faces though. We'll get rid of those. We'll bevel these edges here. There's those ones that are going to show with 3. We'll shade smooth. We'll probably do a subdivision. Why not? And might make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to bring my 3D cursor right there. And we're going to make an arrow here. Simple arrow using a plane. Scale it down like this. I'm going to put 2 edges in there, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to get rid of these faces right here, and I think I'm going to merge at last. So I'm selecting this one and then this one, merge at last, and just look at this, and I guess I'm going to merge these in the center. I'm going to do that. And I'll take, let's see, let's just change the shape of this a bit. I want to select all 4 of these and scale in the Y, no, in the X. Scale in the X a little bit, like that, a little bit narrower. And I'm going to scale these in the X as well. And take this and, yeah, you know, an arrow, something like that. Actually, maybe a bit longer, and then move it. All right, we'll start with that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude up, and I'm going to take these faces, here, I'll just select these, and I want to actually delete those faces, and I'm actually going to delete these faces too. And now I'm going to Shift Alt and click there and F to make one face. And now I'm going to select all of the sharp edges, vertical edges. I'm going to bevel those. I mean, geez, there's other ways to make arrows, and this is probably the longest. So I'm going to do this, and 3 is probably fine. This is going to be so small. Shift Alt and click there. Control B with 3. Done. Shade smooth. There's my arrow. Make it as big as you want, or as thin as you want, if it doesn't make sense. I'm going to take this and I'm going to rotate this a little bit. And what's going on here? We have a subdivision. Jeez. I'm going to apply that and come in here, and I'm just going to get rid of a few edges that I don't really need, so it's not so bizarre. Okay, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to join it, and we're almost done. I'm going to scale this down a little bit. I'm going to actually make a copy of this, and I'm going to rotate this in the Z and just, to a different orientation, and P to break it out. Actually, maybe I won't break it out. Keep them together for the moment. And let's line these up now. Control 3. Start rotating these. You can kind of follow the this thing here. Let's see where we're at. Nowhere near where we need to be. It doesn't matter if one of them is hid for the moment. I'm going to move it. I just want the exact same rotation for them. If I switch to normal, I can scale this in the Z a little bit. No. Do I not want to do that? Why wouldn't I want to do that? Yeah, that's what I want to do. Yes, it is. And take that. Let's see how it's looking. Okay, let's get them in. So the arrow's still showing. Okay, cool. I'm going to select, here, let's take that and hide it. I can now come in here, select a bit of that and a bit of the arrow. Control L. Let's go back to global. And I can just drag this over to here. You can separate it if you want. And Alt H, bring that one back. Yeah, you might have wanted to, so you can just do this independently. And we have our things, and again, you can put bolts in there. And I'm going to join. I'm going to join those. And there's no modifiers on there, so I'm going to join those. And this thing has a modifier. I'm going to attach that. I'm going to join those. And let's see where we're at here. These fans. And this, I'm going to join those. Control J. This, okay, so this has a subdivision of 2, eh? Can I get by with 1? I'm going down to 1. And I applied it. These have a mirror. I'm going to apply that mirror. And this and this. Okay, I'm going to apply mirrors. I'm just going to start joining things together, and we'll do the last little bit. Apply these mirrors. I'm going to join that. Control J. And Control J. Now these bolts, are they attached? Okay, we have those. That. Control J. I'm going to join to that. Into that. And those. And like I say, you can do more bolts if you need to. So there's those, and there's this, and I put a subdivision on that. I'm going to apply that and join that. Really, all that stuff can get joined together. That's mirrored. I'm going to apply that and join it. And let's have a look at this stuff here. That's an array for the steps, and that is a mirror for the ladder. I think we're going to live with that. Control J. These dots are joined. This and this. Control J. To this. Control J. Now this piece here, I'm just going to go ahead and apply that subdivision. And all this piece will join as well. So let's see what is not part of the family. Okay, the lids. Let's save before we go any further. Can I go down to Control 1? I am going to go down. Not that it's that necessary, but I'm just going to do it. Okay, we're missing something. Those. Okay. It's a good idea to come in here and merge by distance. No, we didn't get rid of anything. I could certainly come around here and get rid of like some edges that are not doing anything that won't be needed. And, yeah, I thought it was going to be in the hundreds. A lot of polys in here, but hopefully the effect is worth it. This is what we have so far. I will finish this off by doing the little vents, and let's just do that right now. So we'll come in here. I'm going to select that edge and bring my 3D cursor there. It's close to where we're going to want the vents. I'm going to make that out of a plane, scale it down, rotate X 90, scale in the Z, slide one down here and out a little bit. Okay, so I need to move this in just about like that is what it's going to be. And so what I'll do is I'm going to extrude it backwards, and then I can get rid of that face, take the whole thing, sort of put it in there a little bit. And I'm going to select this one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to inset a little bit, hold shift, and extrude out again. And that's it. Let's focus on that with the slash key, and we're going to bevel, shift alt and click these edges, shift alt and click, so it goes right up to the top, control B and bevel, and I'm going to go ahead and put 5 in. Then I'm going to select this edge and this edge, control B to bevel, but only 3, and I think I'm going to do this one as well. So I'm going to have this. Worry about the shading right now. I may make it a bit thinner. Okay, I'm going to select this face and bring my 3D cursor there. And I'm going to bring in another plane. We're going to do a Boolean in a moment, but I want my cutting tool now. I'm going to rotate X 90, scale in the Z. Now I will go back to the diagram, and I'll scale in the X a little bit, and I just want to make these pieces here. Okay, I'm going to select this edge and shift control B to bevel and pull, and I'm just going to pull a little bit till it's sort of rounded. Something like that is probably good enough. Let's go back to the solid view, pull that out. So I'm going to extrude that back, and I'm also going to recalculate it just to make sure it's facing the right way. And we're going to want 3 of these, so I'm just going to do this by hand, or whatever you call it. 3 of those like that. Okay, we'll cut there. I can put a tiny bullet there. All right, so I'm going to select the main body of my vent, choose Boolean, and that, apply, delete those. Let's just focus on the vent itself, and we'll see the way it's cut. I want some depth, so I'm going to shift alt and click these edges, all of them. Make sure you get it all the way around. Okay, I'm going to E to extrude, and I'm going to pull in like that. Oh, I missed a bit there. That one, E to extrude all the way in. Select it all. Recalculate outside, merge by distance in case I made any mistakes, and then I'm going to bevel, shift alt and click all the way around this time. No, not that, not that. And it is a little messy, but hopefully it will turn out. Just going to turn it this way, control B and pull. Have a few segments in there. It's going to look like that. That's all right. It's not too bad, because I can add on weighted normal and normal's auto smooth, and I get that. There's my vent. And finally, I will take a bolt from here, shifty, scale, P to break it out, and Z, and let's see how we can do this. I can make the vent a little bigger, or we can just wing it a little bit here. Just put one on here. That looks okay. All right, so I'm going to Shift D to duplicate, and I'll pull one down here, and Shift D, and put them here. And I'm going to take that and Control J. Okay, and I'll just duplicate one down here. All right, I'm going to take these and I'm going to join them to there. I'm going to shade smooth. Really, I've missed a couple of bolts, but it just takes too long, so I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to, we're okay actually in our positioning, aren't we? We're not bad. 80,000 minus a few bolts. All right. Yeah, it looks like some stuff is flipped. Wouldn't you agree? So take the whole thing, Alt-N, recalculate outside. That's better. Okay, let's do this. And this is our model. There was nothing hard there. It just took a long time to do it, but it does look cool. Let's do that. Try different matte caps, all right? Like some shiny matte caps to help you see how nice and smooth your model is. There's nothing wrong with taking a screenshot of that and maybe sharpening it if you need to. You can also come to View, Viewport Render. All right, you might get something there that you can work with. I usually generally prefer the screenshot. You can also turn on the shadow, and and just choose a matte cap that you think would look good. I do like that one in general. I also like this red one. Just watch your eyes, just because it seems to have a lot of ambient occlusion in it. I could be wrong, but it just looks that way. And I really can see the details with that one. Again, there's a few bolts that are missing, but I mean, it's a very cool model, in my opinion. It's not really my design. I just modified it and figured out how you could model it so I could show you. All right, so I'm just going to leave it at that. You can, of course, Control Plus. Take that, do a screenshot, and you got that. A lot of modeling. It uses a lot of modeling techniques. Nothing difficult, but we used a lot of different things in order to create that. So I hope you like your model, and thank you for watching, and come on back for the next one. See ya.